The Leadership Northwest Indiana program has been around for 35 years and graduated nearly 1,300 leaders. Stay with us as two of their alumni reflect on their experience in LNI.
Programming is supported by NIPSCO. Today's young minds are constantly reimagining what our world will be like tomorrow. That's why NIPSCO is upgrading its infrastructure now, so we're ready for whatever comes next. More information at nipsco.com/future.
Welcome again to Lakeshore Focus, a weekly show highlighting the key issues, important events, and interesting people in our region. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick. There is a program for community leadership development that has been around our region for 35 years. It is called Leadership Northwest Indiana, and more than 1,300 leaders have participated in it. Each class, and there have been 41, meets for a whole day, once each month for a full year. With us today to share their experiences in the program are two recent graduates from LNI39 Class of 2015-16. Let's meet Audra Peterson, who is the director of the LaPorte County Career Center in Michigan City, and Bill Buckley, who wears two hats, one as the president of the Down Syndrome Association, and Bill, your other hat pays the bills, right?
Yep. I work for S&C Electric Company as their manager of smart grid projects and asset management.
And so you really have two jobs. And the Down Syndrome Association pays you well too?
No, that's a volunteer opportunity for me as I sit on the executive board there. But we do have a staff that is working there daily from an operational standpoint.
So I know, Audra, besides your paid job, you are also involved in a ton of things. Maybe a couple things that you're involved in that are important to you?
Well, a lot of what I seem to be involved in deals with kids, so it's just a passion for working with youth. I'm on the Youth Council, Youth Work Council, and then I also sit on the Indiana Career Council, or the Work Council for Northwest Indiana as well, Region 1. So there's a lot of different volunteer jobs that are job related but indirectly related.
So it's all about work for you,
it's
right?
It's all about work and kids.
So I said that we've graduated 1,300, so you two are here to represent, I guess,
impressive number.
This large group of alumni that we have. So why do you think I picked you two?
I was questioning that on the way over today. Wasn't sure. No, I was glad you picked me. I had a really a very good experience in the class, and I was pleasantly surprised by the overall classes that we took and were part of. So I was a little skeptical at first, but the experience was definitely a very good one for me.
We'll come back to that skepticism here at some point. But you guys graduated back in June, and I remember Audra, at graduation, you talked about how many years I harangued you to even get into this program. So
yes.
Why'd you finally give in?
I think one, you're a hard person to say no to, Keith. But I think number two was I started thinking back about why you really wanted me to do this. And I spoke with several other LNI alum who said, because when I looked at it and looked at the program, initially it was, it's about Northwest Indiana, and I grew up in Northwest Indiana, and I know everything there is to know about Northwest Indiana. And I had worked in Porter County, Lake County, LaPorte County, so I really felt like I knew a lot. And so I decided that it was an excellent opportunity also to network and deal with and meet business people who could potentially facilitate some of the things that I was working on in other projects. So I finally gave in and decided that I would do it, and I learned that I didn't know everything there was to know about Northwest Indiana, and there were a lot of different things that were missing, and I think that the bond that we built with other people and the connections that were made were probably, for me, one of the coolest things ever. I mean, just meeting those people and seeing them in public now, it's like you've been friends for years, and we really only spent a year together.
Right.
I could always see how excited you were. Why were you so skeptical when you came into the program?
Then
why'd you even come in if you were skeptical?
Well, I had different motives. As part of the Down Syndrome Association and kind of the rebuilding of that group, really didn't have a good presence in the community, I felt. It's been there since the early 80s, and to be in a community since the early 80s and not be known was troublesome to me. So, I was skeptical because, it's another leadership class. It's something, I've been to probably 10 of them in my career, which is, over 10 plus years in the industry, and I've gone to all sorts of corporate leadership events. But this was different for me. It really was.
What made it different?
Just talking about Northwest Indiana and there's ethical debates. There's you talk about education, you talk about jobs. Just being able to discuss some of those issues, which really could apply anywhere, not just here in the region. But I didn't really know a lot about Northwest Indiana. I grew up in Illinois. Coming over into Northwest Indiana, my wife was a teacher. And so part of it was just getting to know the region a little bit more, getting some of the experiences, meeting some of the people, and the motive really to tie the organization and the Down Syndrome Association into that from a networking perspective was really kind of the driver behind why I said, okay, I'll finally take the class and let's go see what it's all about. I had someone who's on our board that was in the LNI39 class who kind of convinced me to come over.
So let's talk a little bit about the leadership development, because I always say that this is about community leadership development, and both of you I know have been in lots of leadership development kinds of programs. What else makes this different? Particularly, you've already talked a lot about becoming acquainted with the region, but how did it help you as a leader that was different in this program than other leadership development things you've gone to?
I'm going to say thinking outside of the box. When you're in the business world or you're in the education world, you're taking classes on how to run X.
Right.
And in this, it's a totally different concept, because it's how do you help function in the community? How do you, as a leader, what can you do to help in the community, not necessarily to run a community organization, but how do people that are in the community work together to accomplish, for example, I'm in education, but in Bill's situation with the Down syndrome, there's potential for me to be working with kids like that. I have an early childhood education program, so I could see us working together. We're two leaders.
We should talk.
We should talk. So
I thought you do all the time.
We do. We should talk about that, though.
But those are the types of things that I think it's a different type of leadership concept. It's leaders working together, not necessarily, as Bill said, you think it's going to be the same old leadership type. Okay, well, here's how to bond, and here's how to work together as a team, and here's how to recruit people, and here's how to motivate people. It's a totally different concept. And it's thinking about, we all have, the end goal is, what is Northwest Indiana? What are we as a community? We have perceptions, the region rats. We have perceptions, the region. But what are we, and how do we make ourselves better?
So I want to make sure that, though, for public television, we get a clarification, because this is public television, and you said managing X, not X-rated, right? Just managing
Correct.
Project X or Business X. Okay.
Right.
Just want to make sure,
Feeding a little bit off of that, it taught me, as one individual, I can actually make an impact. We're in this big community, and granted, I am part of an organization. We have a bunch of members that are part of it that we service, and I know I can make an impact there. I've seen it. We've been doing it for 6 years since we've been involved. But how else do I make an impact in my community? And that really kind of opened up a lot of the different ideas of how I can personally get involved in other areas that maybe I'm passionate about, in addition to what we're doing with the association. Another piece that was really refreshing for me is in the corporate environment, I can't just freely speak my mind. There's always
That's hard to believe,
a
Bill.
political piece. I know, but you always have to be
you
cautious.
in the class,
I know.
and you did speak your mind.
But that's the point, is I can speak my mind. You kind of talked a little bit about, I think in your opening you mentioned some of this a little bit, what we're able to speak freely, and there's no judgment, there's no conflict amongst people. It's an open debate, and it's educating each other around our different beliefs and thoughts, and you can feed off one another and learn from one another to really help a larger scale impact into the community. So you can kind of take that away as an individual and really apply that when you can see a different perspective and kind of understand that. And so that really helped me a lot, is feeling that I could just have those conversations.
You know, you both talked already about these connections that you make in the program and with people who are in different sectors and so forth. That's a comment I hear constantly from people, is it kind of puts you into this network. I mean, is this some sort of secret club, or is there a secret handshake or something? Once you get into this, I mean, how does that work? That you feel like you're part of this network of people.
I mean, I felt like there's a bond that you create because a lot of those things that the environment of the class, the way you guys set up the class it is a free, open environment for discussion and debate. And I think because we get past those boundaries of, oh, I better watch what I'm saying, you're able to open up more, I think, and able to actually connect at a different level that may not always be there in other types of leadership classes, or just classes in general, or in your business environment. You know, there's people I work with for 10 years that I don't have relationships with, that I've developed with people in our class. So I just think that environment really helped us be able to make those connections and develop those bonds.
You know, it's interesting, before I get to Audra, it's interesting, one of the greatest compliments I feel about the program is when we have speakers who come in, and I know I've seen them speak before and I've heard them speak, and they just kind of spill their guts, and I'm like, why would you say all those things so openly in front of this group? And their answer is, I feel comfortable to do it. I feel safe in here, and I feel like this is an audience of people who are truly listening to me and trying to understand and not going to tear me apart. And that's huge. I mean, to get that experience for those speakers.
Yeah.
Well, and on that note, I think that as Bill was talking, one of the things that I thought about was the diversity day. And, that day we laughed, we cried, there was anger. I think we experienced every single emotion. And when you think about it and you go about it on a day-to-day basis and you think, I service kids from all aspects, all walks of life every day, and I don't ever consider myself as being a prejudiced person or, looking at people in different ways. But then when we got through that day and people started talking about their backgrounds, and you start thinking, gosh, I've always treated a person like that, but really, I didn't realize that offended you. Or I didn't think about it that way. I thought that because I was working with all kinds of kids that this was the way that, and it wasn't. And that day, you really got to, when the one activity that we did, you really got to feel for, gosh, I feel left out, And it made you think a lot differently. And I think that experiencing those kinds of emotions in the course that we did, like I said, you go through other leadership classes, and I think this is where it sets it apart. You go through other leadership classes, you're doing it by the textbook, or you're doing it by somebody's system. And this was not a systematic approach. It was driven by the facilitators and the students in the class. And I'm sure that in all the years, in all 41 classes, there's probably been 41 different ways that class has played out.
Wow. So we spend a whole day every month in this program, and you just kind of shared a little bit about the diversity. Was there one other day that stood out for you, Bill, if you're like,
Actually, the class where we came to the Lakeshore Broadcasting Day was really a fun day for me. It's something that I obviously don't have a lot of experience dealing with or being exposed to, especially trying to boost the knowledge of our association, just kind of learning the different ways to connect with the media, how to go through interviewing. Just that overall day was a really positive day for me, and I really did like the diversity day. That was a very fun day. You talked about anger and different emotions, and it wasn't like anything directed towards any students amongst ourselves. It was just like really, how do we get to this point? Like how does the world or our economy or our people, or it was a very interesting thing to experience. So.
What did you basically think of the people who were in your class or other people you've met who've been through this? I mean, what do you assume about them, or what have you learned about them?
There were so many different opinions, really different levels of professions and their careers in general, and again, the best thing for me was just learning the different perspectives and being able to openly discuss with the different classmates that we had, and learn a little bit more about them and what they do and how they go through their different styles of leadership. That really helped me develop my own style of leadership and even grow.
Was there a time that you ever felt really uncomfortable, like, I really disagree with what people are saying, or just, man, this is really making me uncomfortable? Because you said this made you think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
So usually when you think outside the box, it's a little scary or a little different. Was there a time you felt, I'm just really lost here? Or?
Not for me.
Not really for me either.
My professional career is all about change, so I'm pretty open to change, and so I thrive and want to seek feedback and other opinions typically. So this class for me is very comfortable. I think that the toughest thing, again, which we addressed, was how open are people going to be to these types of discussions, and I was pleasantly surprised at how it was facilitated to put us in a position where it was comfortable to have those conversations.
How has this changed you as a leader? Do you feel changed by this experience?
I do. I guess in several ways. Number one, I start thinking about the bigger picture. You know, sometimes we walk around in our professional world with blinders on, and I start to think about the bigger picture, because one of the things that was asked pretty much in every single session as we talked about, the different topics, was how can we make a change in Northwest, given the information you got today, how can we make a change in Northwest Indiana, and how can we change the perception? So I feel like everything that I do now is, what am I going to do, or what decision am I going to make that's going to change the perception in Northwest Indiana? So it's more of as opposed to, I'm in LaPorte County and I'm making decisions for the schools in LaPorte County, but how am I changing that globally, or how can I push LaPorte County career and technical education globally into Northwest Indiana?
Wow, that's good. How about has it changed you, Bill? In what way has it changed you?
I would say yes. I believe that I look at things a little bit differently in terms of, I don't have to do it all myself. How do I continually reach out and pull others in to help support a cause, or to help a certain area grow, or educate, or really make other people aware of whatever it is that we're trying to drive forward, or whatever initiative we're working on. So I was always typically a do-it-yourself type of person, and through the connections that I've made and the relationships that I've experienced, I just am more open to reaching out for others to bring in and really help develop them into possible leadership roles too, to get them involved and show them how they can make an impact themselves too. So
I know the first day I say to people, this is quite a commitment. It's a whole day, once a month, and then I try to slap you with, and if you can't get away from your place, what kind of a leader are you that you can't even leave your people behind to function? But what was the sacrifice? And you were disabled half the time you were in the class, so talk about somebody who not only came to the session, but you came in crutches and
wheelchair.
Oh my gosh! So why that deep a commitment? Why that deep a commitment? Surely wasn't my flogging you in the opening session.
In my opinion, I think that in order for us to be better leaders in any profession that we're in, sometimes you do need to step away. And I think that when you step away and then you bring things back, and every time that I had a session, I would bring it back, or I'd have a business card in hand with the intention of giving it to one of my staff members and saying, hey, you need to make a contact with this person. Or for example, the medical one that we had at the hospital at St. Mary's, they were my, oh my gosh, Jeremiah, and Jamie, I had them for our third day of school this year, and they came in and talked about their 7 points of success. And because I felt like those were things that we could make connections that we were trying to do with our students. My students loved them. My staff thought they were fantastic. So that was being able to make a connection with those types of things, and bringing that in, because every single time I went out and I left the building, there was something good that I could bring back.
Why did you make that commitment?
Again, I wanted to build the network of people that I knew. I again, really didn't know a lot about Northwest Indiana or people in it. And so for me personally, it was about connecting our organization, connecting with other people, learning other ideas, and just getting some different perspective.
Did they let you off from work this easy?
Yeah, actually, I just started taking the class. I didn't even get approval.
You didn't even check, huh?
I didn't.
Just took a day
I asked
off.
for forgiveness, basically. And once I finally told my boss that I report to, he's like, "That's fantastic." And actually, he had me show the coursework to our corporate training department, and may actually even look into it, even though they're in Chicago. We have a strong base of people that are remote south end of Chicago and Northwest Indiana, so there's some thoughts about trying to make it a formal program for our company.
Wow. So we're down to the last little bit here. Just a quick sales pitch for somebody who's watching this, why they should participate in this program, or maybe nominate somebody for the program. Why should somebody do this program, real quick?
I think that somebody should take this program, especially if they want to improve things in Northwest Indiana. I think that Northwest Indiana takes a bad rap, and I think this program teaches you that there's a lot of people out there who really do care about Northwest Indiana and want to make it a better place to live and want to project it above and beyond the Chicagoland area. And so I think that this gives you an opportunity to see why you don't always have the sales pitch, but this gives you the sales pitch.
And even take it from this place, because a lot of people leave and go do great things where they move to. So real quick, why should they do this?
Just connecting yourself, learning more about the region, building different bonds, and really kind of helping to educate yourself regardless of how long you've been here.
Great. Well, I think I picked the right two people to come on and share this experience. So you are the representatives of our 1,300, and you did a great job.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
proud of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yes.
For the past 15 years, it has been my privilege and honor to have been the leader for a wonderful program, Leadership Northwest Indiana. I've acted as the facilitator for 26 classes, which have included over 900 participants. If you add the high school students who are in our youth leadership program called SLICE, another 200 can be counted. Wow, over 1,000 leaders. That's also 300 day-long sessions. I had to put the numbers on paper to truly realize how many people have touched my life. The individuals who are drawn to LNI are some incredible people. We've had superintendents, police chiefs, executive directors, CEOs, elected officials, senior managers, administrators, and business owners. Our ranks included people from banking, education, healthcare, law enforcement, courts, manufacturing, environment, retail, business, and government. Our participants have ranged in age from 21 to 80. They are a mix from the most conservative to the extreme liberal, new to the region, and have been here forever. We've had participants whose homes included Egypt, Macedonia, Syria, China, India, England, Venezuela, Jamaica, Nigeria, and more. It is an amazing mix. Yet what is more amazing, they meet for a whole day every month for an entire year and never kill each other. I say it that way to make a point. They actually listen to each other and truly try to understand other points of view. That's what makes great leaders. In all my years, I do not recall a single time when we had a confrontation or disrespectful comment. The leaders who join the LNI program are incredible people doing incredible things. They improve our communities, advocate for issues, set the agendas for progress, face the tough problems, gather people together for a cause, and make a difference. My time is drawing to an end as facilitator for LNI. The reins of the South Shore Leadership Center have been handed to a very capable new president. There is still so much to be done in our region. We need to continue to build our leadership capacity because everything begins when leaders step in. Without it, nothing, I mean absolutely nothing, happens. If you or someone you know want to be part of Leadership Northwest Indiana, where you can connect with the best, understand the issues, and become a better leader, contact the South Shore Leadership Center and they will tell you how to nominate someone or apply to the program. I'm not going away. There's still much to do, and don't use the retirement word in front of me. Did you learn something from our show today? We always want to hear your thoughts and comments. You can send them to the email address on your screen or access us through our website. Tell your friends that you watch Lakeshore Public TV and it makes you a better person. Remind them of our past episodes, which are available on the website. Be sure and join us again next week for another Lakeshore Focus. Until then, I'm Keith Kirkpatrick saying, make a positive difference in our world today.
Programming is supported by NIPSCO. Today's young minds are constantly reimagining what our world will be like tomorrow. That's why NIPSCO is upgrading its infrastructure now, so we're ready for whatever comes next. More information at nipsco.com/future.